Hi everyone. Today I have something really cool planned. I invited a guest onto my show. That's something new, and actually I just have to check if it actually works. It works. Amazing. Um, and yes, I would like to actually introduce you my guest right away. So her name is Maria. We met in Rotterdam, actually. She works as a tax consultant now. And it was especially fun to meet her because we were really different and we had these amazing talks. And yeah, I'm super grateful and happy that now she actually had the chance to make some time to come onto my show and we can continue that sort of talks we always had. So please, a really warm welcome to my good friend Maria Storgaard.
Hi, thank you for having me. So good to see you.
Yeah, it's amazing to see you as well, actually. We just spoke a little bit backstage too. It would be maybe nice idea if you just introduce yourself again, and also maybe how related to how you ended up in this live stream, like what kind of relation you have to art specifically. I guess that would be really interesting for the viewers.
Okay, yeah, sure. What kind of relationship I have to arts? Yeah, so first off, my name is Maria. I'm from Denmark, and right now I'm in Copenhagen, and it's 11 p.m. at night, and I know that it's 9 a.m. in the morning for Selina, and she texted me just a while ago if I wanted to join, and of course I'm up for it because most of the things that we do are quite spontaneous. Just like this. But yeah, no, I work as a tax consultant. I have a master's in finance, which is it's pretty far away from the arts, but I've always been very interested in painting specifically, and going to museums and all the experience that comes with it. And then I moved to Rotterdam a year ago, and I moved in with Selina, who's a photography student and was at the time. And then we just had a lot of conversations about all different things, and I think you sort of opened my eyes for photography as well, because I think I've always seen that as maybe like a cheap type of art in a way, because it's
what? Okay.
No, I thought it was just an easy thing. Like I had a camera, fine, I could go out and take photographs. But then you really showed me all the work that's put into it and how important it is, and that has completely changed my view on it. And then we also met up with a lot of different kind of arts people, and which really sparked a lot of interesting conversation. I think it just in general, what I like about arts is that it's provocative and it always makes you feel something. And it's a good way to bring forth some movement or something that's happening or a feeling that you have. So I think that's what is like inspiring me, which is pretty far away from what I usually do in my daily life.
Is it? Okay, so you actually also paint a little bit now, right? I saw that you're doing this. Is it related to your experience in Rotterdam, or is this something that you just always love to do?
I don't think I've always, because I haven't really done it before. And it was, I don't know what sparked it. I think I've always wanted to do it, and I always want to try out new things. I'm always doing new things. And I was just on my way home from work, and in Copenhagen we bike a lot, so I was on my bike and I just had to get some shampoo. And then on the way to the shop, I just saw this store that has blank canvases, and that was a canvas that was 1.5 meters tall, and I just had to buy it. I still haven't bought the soap though, but I got the canvas, and I had to leave my bike and then walk the rest of the way home with this canvas, and it was raining. It was not planned at all. But it's definitely been the best purchase that I've ever bought, because it's just so, I don't know, I just zone out, and I normally rarely do that. I have a lot of thoughts.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely a thing, and I guess that's also something nice about creating stuff, is really that you can let go, and there's like no right or wrong. When you actually start to study art, you will realize that there is actually some sort of right or wrong, but I guess the original kind of idea of art is to just let go and to let it flow. And to use it as a way to express oneself visually. So that's actually really interesting to hear that from you as a person who's kind of drops into it, and then by just having this open mind, you kind of just did that. And I guess that's actually exactly how it starts too. So you find some actual artists who have like parents or someone who actually is also an artist. But in my case, for instance, it was the same thing. It's just something I always did, and then I kind of took it into professional kind of way. So then let's go to the topic of the actual show as well. Because you mentioned that earlier, photography used to be for you a cheap.
Yeah, I know that. I didn't really study that for years.
You guys see how our friendship works here. Always really kind to me. No, anyways, I'm wondering what makes you say that, and also what is for you as a person who's really visibly the viewer, because probably we view art really different. Like if I would go into a museum, I probably look at the technique, I would even look at the way they printed it, I would look at the description, and I would take some inspiration from that things in order to improve my own art. While you really go there and you would maybe just look at it like, oh, what does it evoke in me? Why do I like it? Maybe things like this. So I'm wondering,
yeah, I think since I've bought the canvas, I'm definitely looking at the techniques and all those sort of things. But yeah, prior to that, it was mostly about, and you know, what I really like about museums and arts is that so for movies and for books, there's like a specific time limit. So you sit and you watch this movie for 2 hours, it's specific, and you read the book for how long it's ever going to take you. But with art, there's no limit. Like you can do it for 2 seconds or you could do it for 2 hours. You are really fully in control. So I think that's what I really like about art, that it's this free thing. And then I've also used it a lot because I go to art museums and stuff with different people. And also I would see the same exhibitions with different people. And that I think is really interesting just to see. And also my own ideas, because I see different things from the paintings, you know, depending on who I'm with.
Yeah.
For me, it's the experience, yeah, like you say, the feeling, what it evokes in me, and less about the technique. But now it's more getting into the technique, and I'm standing super close to all the paintings and maybe taking photos of the texture.
And then the alarm goes off.
Yeah.
And they kick you out. No, I think that's a beautiful thing, Maria. I really like to hear that. So, absolutely. And then also, actually, what started that question that just came up for me was, did you see a difference between the Danish art scene and the art scene in the Netherlands where we met?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I was also let in more in the Netherlands because, so that's also a topic that we've discussed before, that it's very exclusive. But because I knew you and I sort of got invited into the environment, and I, of course, had an open mind, and the people that I met also were very kind and had an open mind, I got to see more of the underground art scene. And I'm not seeing that in Copenhagen. And in Copenhagen, you have a lot of influencers going to the art museums, and it's sort of become this thing. And yeah, I don't know, it's more disconnected in a way. As what I saw too, it was more real in Notre Dame, but I was also, and I especially liked, now I forgot what it's called. There was one art museum for very young and new aspiring artists, which I really like, because that's where you see all the new ideas and stuff. And we definitely have it in Copenhagen. I just haven't found it yet.
Yeah, I get it.
But it's definitely more like popular and large museums here. Really large and popular, and fine arts as well.
And then is it like a cool thing? Would the people at work be like, did you already go to that museum? Blah, blah, blah. Or would it be
my arts club? Yeah.
Yeah, that's his thing.
Yeah, yeah. And then we have like, I don't know what's it's called in English, but where you can sort of draw a number to get a painting or some sculpture or something.
So like an auction?
Yeah, sort of, yeah. But it's random who gets what, and then you go on, you see different, they arrange to see museums where you have a guide or someone who's an art critic showing you around and discussing things. So yeah, I think it's rare and it's a really small group, but it's there, it exists.
Yeah, I think maybe they're more incognito, the artists, or something like that. But to be honest, that's also a thing I experience sometimes, because if you're like a really outgoing kind of character, I feel like the general perception is for people that an artist is supposed to be that unapproachable. That's a thing I constantly talk about, because I feel it's so wrong, because the artist takes so much inspiration from, the people around them. So I don't get exactly why they have to be so cool and, almost snobby in a way. And if they're not really like that, they kind of not taken as a successful, I guess.
But it's probably because you have all the successful stories of all artists like Van Gogh and those people that sort of were really isolated, and then that's sort of how we defined what a good artist is.
Oh,
which
man.
is not really a fun life, though.
This is an absolutely amazing thought. Thank you for that. Yeah, I really like that theory. That's really interesting. Yeah, well, that's so really interesting. See, guys, so that's the kind of conversation we would have. And then we would spark each other's minds, and we would actually give each other some new insights, because sometimes you are like in it and then you wouldn't actually see this kind of things. So that's why I really liked Maria as a friend, because she came always with a new insight and a new idea onto things. This is really cool. Okay, and then actually another thing that you do, which I think personally is really cool, you work together with a lot of entrepreneurs and actually people who are really creative. So maybe you could also tell us a little bit how that goes for you, if you want it. If you feel like this is too personal or kind of
what
too
you
much
mean
information
about. You mean the innovative in a business?
Yeah, I feel like you tell me sometimes about those entrepreneurs you talk with, and they have these amazing ideas, and then they really have this motivation, and everything is so close to their heart. So I feel like when you tell me this kind of stuff, it's just nice to hear this from a person with financial background, to see how that comes across. Because I guess a lot of my viewers on my channel, they actually creative themselves too, and they might take some inspiration from that as well, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I can share it from my side of the table. So I'm advising a lot of startups. Besides the work that I do, I'm also a volunteer sort of board member, where I jump in and help startups who don't have their own board, and then we take over for half an hour, and then we just discuss the company. But what is really interesting is like the passion that they bring forth, because I work also with very, very large companies, and they don't have the same connection to their product and to the concept. And we live in a world today where all the really large companies, they're trying to figure out, okay, we're seeing that all these entrepreneurs, all these startups, the fintech industry that's emerging, all those sort of things, how that's driven out of passion for something. So we need to bring passion to our large corporations. And how do we do that? Oh, wait, we still have a organization to run, and we don't want to just hire people to sit around and think thoughts and try to be creative. So it rarely really happens. And then you meet all these startups and you see that it's not about, they actually they also like running the company. They have time to do all the boring task and the administrative task, because they're driven out of the passion that comes within, because they really believe in the project that the product or whatever it is that they're doing. And they can also see the next step and the step before next. And it's just, I think it's more of a vision than it's really a product, and they're not afraid to say it, and that is really inspiring. I love it when I meet, because there's a clear difference between the people that you meet, if they're just there for the title or if they're there for the company. And when you meet entrepreneurs, they're always there for the company, right?
Mm-hmm.
They started it, it's their darling, and that is so inspiring. And it's something that I bring, because then I'm like, okay, so I'm doing this job, what is it that I'm passionate about, and how can I also show that to my own co-workers? how can I show that I'm passionate? So I use, I don't know, these entrepreneurs also to reflect on myself. Okay, how can I? So sometimes what we're starting in. So I work for one of the big four, which is a very large company, very global, and it's very administrative task as well. But we're starting to be entrepreneurs. So that means within a company, and we're starting to do like our young consultants meeting up, discussing what needs to be improved, and do we have the resources for it. And that comes out of the inspiration from the passion that we're seeing from entrepreneurs that we're advising and meeting. And
Okay.
I don't know if that was what you were hoping for. my
No, I
question.
definitely. I think maybe my face was looking a little bit strange, but I was actually deep in thought because I was really listening hard to what you just said. So I had like various questions that were risen for me now when I was listening to you. I was actually wondering what made you wanna work in such a large company and one of the big fours. And because I definitely, from just how I got to know you, I think you would actually also have that skill set to to be an entrepreneur yourself, I guess. So you also have this passion and drive. And I was wondering what you felt like a place like this offers, because I guess I'm asking this also because like artists in this society, they kind of end up being entrepreneurs anyways. That freelance thing is just the way how you have to start off until you make it actually into a bigger place where you kind of accept it, because you kind of want to find your style first before you actually even able to successfully be integrated into, because there's, I guess, a lot of pressure on the creative industry too, in a really strange way.
Yeah.
So you start off as a freelancer and then you kind of forced into being sort of an entrepreneur anyways. And you kind of just end up doing this, I guess. But I guess there is a beauty also in being on the other side where you actually, So I guess that is just a thought that I just had. Yeah. And I kind of lost my thread in between, I guess, as well.
Yeah. No, but it's interesting what you mentioned, and you're touching upon something that I'm thinking of right now is, okay, why I'm not an entrepreneur and why am I staying with one of the big four? And I think it's because I like the global aspects, and I rarely speak. Well, I speak to my coworkers who are mostly Danish, but when I'm working in email and having video chats, they're always from another country, and I really like that aspect, and it keeps me so. Where I'm probably different from some of the other people and similar to different kind of group is that I have an easier time relating to very global news and all the thing that's happening, and I can't really relate to the story around the corner because it's too small for me in a way. Whereas let's take my cousin, she's a journalist and she loves the story around the corner. She loves going to the local and interviewing them. And I also have a lot of fun discussions with her because I can't relate to those. And on the other side, she cannot relate to like the global news, for example, what's going on in the US at the moment. She can't relate to that because it's so far from her reality, whereas it's the opposite around for me. So that I think I get from being in a large company, and then the fact that there is place for or room for me to be innovative and test out new programs and new softwares and take an education, help these entrepreneurs in as a volunteer and all these sort of things. But then you also mentioned starting up as an art student and then you're running a business, and this is also something that we've discussed, is that I think it's like you're saying, there's a lot of pressure on your industry, and that definitely is, and it's also my opinion that the art industry that we as a generation have a responsibility to picture how life is at the moment to the next generation, and then continuing like they did way back. We also have a responsibility to maintain all the historic monuments and whatever we have in a certain way, of course. And so that's a lot of pressure put on the art industry, because that's what you do best. You depict the situation that we have right now. You shed light on some issues that we're not good at, that we maybe overlook in our daily lives, or feelings that we overlook. There's a lot of pressure, and then you're giving zero resources to do this. There is no help on how you do an elevator pitch. There's no help on how you structure a business, really, because that is what you're driving. You are all entrepreneurs, and I think the lack of support that I'm seeing when I'm talking to people, it's crucial. And I really understand that that's an issue, and that's something I would love to help out with, but I don't have the tools for it either, because I know how to find financing for a startup that has a product, but how do you find financing for an art project? And
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I guess the problem is also in a way that there's just, I guess, so many nowadays as well.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about this as well because in the past, like relating to photography, for instance, you were already a photographer if you were able to afford a camera, right? And everyone would come from the community, would come to you and be like, hey, can you take my picture? I can pay you for it.
Mm.
And nowadays, everyone kind of has it. So you gotta kind of, you're doing it just really because you love doing it.
Yeah.
But actually, yeah, it's like sometimes you also almost trip into like, what the fuck am I even doing here? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna make any impact actually, you know? So you really gotta start off like locally. I guess that's really a thing. And then you kind of spread maybe eventually that kind of sort of thing, you know?
Yeah.
And then I guess that is the realistic side of an artist. So I guess it's really hard to pitch that to like a finance person, because they always want to hear how great and amazing and
We want to know what
numbers
we're buying,
and
right?
stuff.
That's difficult to say. Yeah, we want to know what we are buying.
Right.
That's very difficult to say.
Yeah. And as an artist, you just somewhere in your crazy little world. And yeah, I get that. Definitely. Yeah.
And I think that also reflects back to the first point where I was pretty harsh on you, saying that I initially thought it was very cheap, because everyone can afford a camera nowadays and take photos, and I never really saw the value in it. And I think the more that I've discussed with you, and we also went to museum for photography, which I've never tried before either, and we tried to discuss all these sort of things, and then really made me realize, okay, the value and the importance of photography as well. Because painting, okay, I can see that that there are some techniques and stuff that's really tough to do yourself. You maybe look at some of the Picasso and think, okay, I could do that myself. Yeah, but could you really? But you don't think of the same thing with with a photograph. You see it, and I'm like, I could probably take that. Yeah, you probably could, but would you? I mean, would you see it in the daylight? Would you snap? And I think what I also just, moments before we did this, started thinking about with photographs and painting, is that painting you can always revisit, and you can change it, and you can keep working on it, like I'm doing right now. First I painted a face, and then I put all over pink, and now it's a landscape, and now I don't know what the fuck it's turned into, but it's not that anymore. So I can keep revisiting. You can't do that with a photograph. It's a small moment, and you need to capture it, and you need to capture it in the right light and in the right setting, and if you have people in it. And that's one point that I really loved from our discussions, and what you inspired me to see is this connection with people through a camera. But you need to snap that in. It's just such a tiny moment. So I think it sort of changed my mind to seeing, okay, it's really unique, because it's only this tiny moment of life that you're capturing, which is quite valuable, because you'll never get that exact moment back.
Yeah. Yeah, you were also one of the people who said to me, I never saw myself like this before, like your picture. Yeah, so that stayed with me. I was like, wow, that's really a big compliment, first of all, to start with. But I guess that's then the kind of validation you get because you take the moment to look at someone. And actually, to relate this to painting too, like I paint, obviously, as well. But for me, actually, painting is always sort of been this, photography for me was just always like more valid or better because it depicts reality in a better way.
Yeah.
And I really had to learn this during my studies, that, and also based on that essay of Susan Sontag that I sent you beforehand, where she writes on photography, that painting as such is actually also something where because I kind of always had this like expectation that it has to be realistic as such, so I kind of didn't want to accept my paintings as an expression of, you know, a moment or a feeling, or you get it. So for me it was always not enough. It was just like, well, that's just a painting, you know.
Yeah.
I honestly can say that. Like now I'm enjoying it, right? But I really had to teach this to myself to kind of accept it. Like I guess I was really making fun of painterture as such. And for me, photography was like, oh wow, that's so cool. Like just this moment, how crazy and absurd is this moment, please? Like, and now I'm seeing all these kind of things, you know, thanks. And I was really like, thank you, photography, you captured that for us, you know. I'm serious.
Because
you know,
it's hard work,
painting.
you need to know when to stop, right? That's the other side of it.
How do you mean?
You can continue working. So when do you know your painting is good enough?
You're painting, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing, like maybe I just stop when I get tired of it or something like that. Yeah, or when I want to trash it, that's the moment when I'm like, okay, now it's enough. You know, but it's like I had a hard time to actually create a painting where I'm like, wow, I'm fucking proud of this. Like I usually had to do it and then I had to be like absolute frustration and then I just throw it kind of into a corner. And then maybe I find it 2 years later and I'm like, hey, that was actually not that bad. You know, that's how painting works for me. And when I'm doing a photograph, I'm just like, damn shit, I'm really proud of this moment right now. Like, yes, I caught it. You know, it's like
yeah. I see
hunter
that.
kind of. I really like that. It's like a hunter who's out on the street finding like.
You're also really good with the photographs because I remember when we did a shoot with each other on the rooftop. Which was a lot of fun. I took, I don't know, 1,000 photos. I took a lot. I was just clicking my way through. And you took what, 10? You took more.
Really? I have a lot.
But when you take photos, you take your time with each one of them. Whereas I'm just clicking through because I need to get the moment. And
yeah, that's something you learn when you actually start to get to know your camera. Yeah, and your gear. I guess I started like this too. In the beginning, that was definitely like when I lived in Australia the first time. I had my camera with me every fucking day. And then actually, yeah, I'm serious. I didn't leave the house without a camera. If I left the house without my camera, I felt naked already. I was like, where's my camera? You know, like others, they think, where's my keys? Where's my phone? I was like, where's my camera? You know? Because I really didn't want to miss any moment. And then, but then I had another issue. I was actually afraid to take the picture because I thought it was weird, right? So if you're just a random guy on the streets taking a picture, I think that's the thing that takes so much courage to actually take out your camera and then shoot away, like regardless of being considered the weird one, because you can be considered a pedophile or, you know, some strange person on the streets taking pictures. Like that's all the thoughts that you have in your mind. You're like, oh my God, if I'm gonna, you know, but then you eventually find out that actually people are really liking it. And they feel super proud that you took their picture. And when you say, I'm actually a professional photographer, they look at you with this like shiny eyes and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I'm so happy I'm part of this. So that's the kind of stuff you really got to learn.
Have you ever experienced someone being upset with being taking their photo? It's quite the opposite, right?
Yeah.
You're always like, oh, me? Really? I remember I felt that way.
Yeah, most people are like this. But I had some people, or maybe 1 or 2 people, from all the 30,000 pictures that I took in the last few years, that were like swearing at me. But that was also in the Netherlands, so you know,
No way.
I don't know. That was just, I was kind of deemed to be the distraction there or something like that.
Yeah.
But anyways, I guess most people, they're actually really supportive, and I think as of an artist point of view, that's really something we gotta put aside, this like fear, you know.
Yeah, but I also remember how you talked about you use your camera strategically. So
Yeah.
okay, maybe the camera that I have on my phone is better than some of your cameras.
Ah, you remember that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I remember. And I remember how you said that if someone books you as a professional photographer, you always bring the largest camera that you have because
Of
that's
course.
what people are expecting. They're expecting this, even though you have a smaller digital camera or whatever that takes better photos, you can't
Higher
bring
risk.
that to a shoot, right? You
Yeah.
always bring the large one.
Yeah, you need to you need to give people what they kind of expect. Plus, also the way how you move in front of a large camera is different than in a small camera, because the small
Mm.
camera is kind of more intimate. It
Yeah,
kind of has this tourist kind of vibe to it.
yeah,
You know, you just snapshot it, like snapshots. If you
yeah,
have a big camera, you feel like, oh, this moment is special and this is worth to be captured. So if
yeah,
you come, and that definitely is the truth, my small Sony has a higher resolution, like my Canon, for instance.
yeah,
And yeah, if you come with the small one to a really, really important shoot, they're gonna look at you and they're gonna be a little bit surprised.
yeah.
If you have the title already and you are established as a really well, you know, known photographer, in the end, there's like no rules at all. But
Until then.
you can't do this if you're the assistant photographer, for instance, or I don't know.
Have you
Whatever.
ever considered bringing both and then bringing this story as well? So say, okay, you booked me for this shoot. I'm going to take this photo with my large camera. But you know, I have the smaller one, which actually has a better resolution. And I know it's more intimate. And I know
Yeah.
that this might feel weird. But are you up for maybe taking just a few photos and then you can also yourself see the difference?
Yeah, definitely do that. Yeah, I do that.
That's
And
nice.
then usually I feel like I also at some point learned to stop to explain myself, because most people, they don't even want to know. They just want to have a good picture taken and they don't even care. So I
Yeah,
take pictures with both of my cameras and then I edit them both, and I just gonna send them, maybe the ones with the higher resolution on the small camera, because they're not gonna be able to say, oh, she took this with this camera, because a lot of people, when it's about photography, something kind of closes up and they feel like, oh no, this is not possible, I don't need to understand. It's like
mm,
my grandmother with technology. She says like, no, I don't need the internet, the internet's too much. And I'm sure she could use the internet if she
yeah,
would be open-minded enough to just
yeah,
enter into it, you know. So that's why people like you are really cool, because you kind of crossing, you know, you crossing like different industries and you have this curiosity, something that I also really have, and that's what I actually like about being a photographer as well,
mm,
because that's how you can enter different kind of fields, like with a backstage kind of pass, and you just take your pictures, you know.
yeah. You can stay sort of in the background and just observe and see.
Yeah,
That's also amazing. Like people watching is it's
exactly.
always
And you kind of
interesting.
don't have to work your way up like crazy, you know.
Yeah,
Within the industry, you can just come and learn about them and
yeah,
learn a new way of thinking, new perspective, and
yeah.
then you can just give them the images as such, and then you go on to the next project. So I love that. No commitment kind of thing.
But that I also remember one quote, and I actually wrote it down that you said
Yeah, no.
when we were living together. I can't remember when you said it, but I wrote it down, and that was, "Will people remember who's behind the camera?" And I
Really?
really, yeah, you said that, and I was like, okay, shit, that's deep. But I like it. I like the quote because yeah, do people see what's behind the camera? Because yeah, you can use it as a tool or as a way to go through the world as
Yeah,
sort of your armor in a way.
yeah.
But if you also want to be seen, will they even
Yes,
remember
I
who?
remember that conversations.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's so fucking true, because I guess you have to learn to be the one who's seen as well, not only the one who's observing the whole time. Because no one cares actually as such.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like maybe everyone likes you, right? Because you make them feel special. But actually, yeah, they just like your pictures.
They like the attention, they like the camera.
Yeah.
Do they see you? Yeah.
Yeah. And that I guess is really your job as well. That's then what comes in with the selection of the images, the editing, right? That's when your character kind of plays into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the magic happens afterwards with the editing and stuff. Yeah.
But it also happens in the photo, right? Because it's your personality, the way that you take photos. You take them very, right? It depends on the specific person taking the photograph. You can bring, it's very subjective, even though it's.
Yeah, you're right. The way how you use your camera and the angle and things like this definitely also plays into
Do you have a style? Do you have a specific way?
Oh, you're asking questions. Yeah, awesome. Well, I guess my style is just like the intimate kind of vibe. So I like those close-ups. I really like to get to know the people. I like to make them feel like comfortable enough.
Yeah.
So there's this like pure moments. I try to strive for that. I don't like this really mega pumped up crazy, shoots. And even if I'm doing like fashion shoots or something like that, it even kind of has this intimate kind of feel to it at the same time. Yeah. Or at least that's always what I'm trying to. That's how I try to challenge myself. Yeah. Yes.
No, but that's also what I gain from being around you and seeing all the things. It's the connection with humans, like I also said earlier. It's really all because we all have our selfie smile and our selfie face, and then breaking that down into being your true self, and that's very vulnerable and also intimidating to see on a photo afterwards. But it's like you remember me saying, I've never seen myself this way. I have never been so honest in a photo before. I'm always really, really aware if there's a photo, if there's a camera near me. I'm really self-conscious. But in our connection and the relationship that we have, and then I never saw the cameras, and I think you have evidence of that.
Yeah.
And I would never have done that before, and I see also the way that it's changing me afterwards is that I've become more comfortable with just being me, and just like, for example, doing this live. Okay, let's do it. I can't change who I am or the way that I am. I can always prepare all that I want, but it's never going to change the fact that I am who I am. I look how I look. I act the way that I do, and just being comfortable with that. But it was like, I remember the moment. I can't explain it, but I just remember the moment when I saw the photographs that you took and how honest they were. Yeah. It was so weird. It was super.
I remember you were sitting next to me and you were becoming all silent while I was putting the pictures. Yeah. I was like, Maria, what's happening? You're so silent. It's not.
I had a moment. I had a moment. I had a lot of wine, and then I had a moment together with it, and it's just not always.
You did have a look afterwards as well and analyze everything. Okay, I got you. No, I think that is really important to make the person in front of the camera feel comfortable. So important. And I see a lot of photographers who put a lot of pressure. And then another thing is shit, because I actually also, now that I'm doing this modeling stuff and things as well, I went on a shoot with a photographer the other day, and he constantly changed his settings on his camera. And even for me, as a photographer who actually knows what's kind of going on, I started to feel really uncomfortable because I felt like I did something wrong. But it was just changing the settings because the light shit. So I feel like the actual duty of a photographer is also to say, hi, I'm just going to change the settings of my camera really quick. don't worry, it will be just 2 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, for the photographers, like if you admitting that you have to change the settings on your camera, then you're not maybe good enough. So this is like just two sides of it that are just communicating really bad. And then actually both sides sometimes feel really uncomfortable at some point. And I guess that's just really something important to change.
Yeah, I'm just quickly gonna go and get my charger because I see I only have, and my battery's gonna die soon.
Awesome. Yeah, no worries.
But let's continue the conversation because that's interesting.
Yeah, I will check in the meanwhile the actually the
I'm quick.
I will check the comments that we have. So
But I want to hear more about the modeling thing, and also one comment that what you just explained of how, so when you're modeling, you're having all these thoughts about how he's changing the settings and everything.
Yeah.
And then when you're taking the photographs, you're having all these thoughts about what does the model think of me? Do I now look unprofessional because I'm changing all these settings? Do you think that you're overthinking it and that you need to
relax?
Yeah, and just be okay with, okay, they can think whatever.
Exactly, yeah, but I think it's just the human nature to start.
Yeah, I know I do it myself all the time.
Yeah, and I think everyone kind of does it, but no one really talks about it. So if we just would be upfront with it, you know, and if we would just try to make each other feel more comfortable, because it is really a vulnerable kind of moment. When someone points a camera, you know that's gonna be a picture that lasts, right? This is the moment, you know, it's a fucking moment, you know? So actually, the good thing is now there's less pressure because there's like, you take more pictures with the digital photography. So maybe with analog, it's just one shot and then that has to be already good, you know?
Yeah.
Which is actually also releasing because then you just have to do it quick and then it's done. And then you're like, fuck it, you know? And with digital, it's like, oh, maybe I can do better.
Yeah. I really like the analog. I think if I were ever to go into photography, I would go for the analog because I have no self-control when it comes to digital. I would just continue, go on, take photos.
Yeah, I guess
responsible, you know, no.
Yeah, well, I can understand that also. And I took the other day, I went out to shoot with someone, and I think we took over 2,000 images.
Yeah,
it's crazy, right?
Yeah,
we did shoot for 8 hours. It's like a normal thing. Yeah,
8 hours.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because we had like, I think we had 7 different outfits, you know.
Okay. Yeah, no.
So you really have to make sure it's on. You really want to fulfill your duty as a photographer that the pictures are good, you know. Yeah. There's lots of fucking pressure on it as well because if you lose the SD card, if something, you gotta reschedule a shoot like that. It's just fuck. You know, you gotta learn to handle that kind of risk. I feel guess all industries have that risk, but I think maybe it's just underestimated when it comes to photography.
Very underestimated, and I'm for sure guilty of it.
Yeah, but hey, it's so cool that you actually you actually want to learn about it and you actually ask questions. That's so cool.
Yeah, because I think that's also what I like about the arts and the whole industry and the museums is that when I see something that I don't understand, or maybe I don't like it, or I don't respect it, or whatever, that's the key moment, because I can find a lot of things that I like and a lot of things that I'm neutral about. But when I find something I dislike, then it becomes interesting, because then I really have a chance to understand, okay, why do I dislike it? Why do I have these thoughts? And I had the thoughts about photography for a long time before meeting you. I just wasn't aware how present they were. And yeah, I was just never exposed to them in the same way. And I remember I met you and you were talking about photography, and I was like, okay, yeah, I know it's a thing. And I know
you thought I'm weird anyways, though. I will never forget that. And you even said it to me. I was like, what?
I did?
Yeah, you said this to me. I was like, hey, that's so fucking rude. Hey, what am I supposed to say? And then you just continued like, yeah, no, but now it's good. I like you now. I'm like, well, I'm good then.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I remember. I thought that you were super weird.
You were a person who wears their heart on their sleeve. I think that's actually honestly really some
Gives
skill.
you bruises. I don't recommend it though.
No, it's a good. I can be like this. I don't walk around calling people weird, especially if I try to become friends with people.
I didn't do it on the first day though. It took some time before I said it.
Yeah, no, you didn't say that on the first day. No,
Yeah.
you didn't.
I
Yeah.
waited a while. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, no, anyways, I interrupted you. I think you were just going somewhere interesting now, but you're completely off topic. Photography and how you were thinking it's cheap art again. Yeah. No, but sorry, but it's actually it's interesting to hear it from a critique as well, you know, and to
Yeah,
learn
but I
about.
think it's we also had this discussion when we did the finance and art industry, is that when we don't know something, that's usually when we undervalue it and we don't
Yeah.
appreciate it and we don't understand all the and my thought of it being cheap or maybe tacky or whatever it was that I was thinking was because I didn't understand it. It's because I had
Yeah.
no clue what it was about, and now I really value it, and I'm actually beginning to take a lot of photos of my friends because I like the experience that I have, and this whole, also the way of making them see themselves and being comfortable with it. And I will do it in cafes, and I'm starting to do it, with the lights on and the sound on, and they're hating me, but just to be a bit provocative. And I think that's the whole. Yeah, I like it when you can take the photo and they think that you have the lights on and you have the sound on, but they
Mm.
see it just right before you take the photo. So
Yeah.
yeah. So now I'm having so much fun with it, and I'm really appreciating it, and in the moments, and I have it all on. I'm just using my phone because I like the intimacy, like you were saying, and
Ah.
I just really didn't understand it. I thought, okay, I just need to buy a big camera and go out and take the photos, and that's it. But it's so much more than that. And
Now
I
you don't have to have a big camera actually at all.
yeah, no.
I think sometimes a big camera kind of ruins the moment too, to be honest.
Yeah.
I really made sure to get a good small camera with a good resolution. That was actually my aim as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
It's a good, but I think it's just comes back to this thing that we are such a divided world. There are so many different specialities. There's so many things that we can do, and then we just tend to undervalue and underestimate the things that we don't understand. And I'm seeing that as well in being in finance, and especially when I wear a suit and a blue shirt underneath, I really look the profession, right? And then people already have preserved ideas of who you are, and okay, there she goes and whatnot. And it's usually just because we don't understand each other, and we're like, oh, can you just quickly help me with this legal advice, which we get a lot. It's like asking for free art, and it's asking for free legal advice. They have no clue about the liabilities and everything that lays in just one advice. Just simple yes or no can be super expensive and have such huge consequences, and all those sort of things. And it's the same with asking for free art. And I think I sort of had that when it comes to photography. I was like, oh, but can't you just take my photo? It's only going to take you 5 minutes, whatever. But it's really because I had no clue about all the work that's put into it, and especially also the editing, and getting to know the person first in order to take the photo. And yeah, it's a whole science.
Yeah, but just saying to your comment now, I think the only thing people really want to pay for is the food in the in the, in the supermarket. Everything else is just always like fights, and yeah. I guess there's a whole skill to actually, uh, to put a price onto things. Yeah,
Yeah.
that for sure. I talked about this the other day too, actually on one of my streams, and I said Yeah, I did. I had a whole monologue about this. That it's really fucking. No, I'm serious. It's really
Yeah, no,
hard
I believe you. I believe you.
on things. It's really difficult because you and also to kind of know to say no, to turn down work
Mm,
because you like to do it in the first place. So you really got to learn to do things for people that benefit you as well. Because
yeah.
sometimes you do things for free for people and that actually benefits them. Like you already have a much larger kind of reach and audience. So
Mm,
that's really what it also is about. Yeah. These days. And I hate it. It's not even about the technical aspects anymore. Fucking shit, hey.
what's it about then? Tell
I
me
had a
what's it
talk
about.
with my tutor, and he said as well. He said like, "Nah, it's not even about the quality of the images anymore. You
But what
know,
is it about then?
yeah, it's just about being at the right time,
Mm,
at the right place, and fucking taking the opportunity.
yeah.
Having a personality that people want to work together with. Um, about in a way also almost pushing your shit onto others, in a way. You know kind of got it. Yeah, it really happens, because you gotta be really out there. So that thing with local, that is definitely a thing for an artist. Like you cannot just start off and be a big one. You gotta
Mm,
first get on with your surroundings. From there you will spread waves. The people may, if they like you, they will keep talking and they will send you people over, things like that. But you cannot just expect to become like a famous one or whatever overnight. It's just not
mm,
happening. It's not realistic kind of mm, thought at all. And you really, and in a way, and that's also what I learned in this modeling class, you gotta fake it until you make it. So even
that's
if you
very true.
self-doubting as fuck, you still gotta pretend like I'm really good at what I'm doing. I don't
Yeah.
care if you like it
I
or
think
not.
that's how it works in most situations. I think that's how I got through university.
Ah, okay.
And we say this all the time. It's gotta wear the suit and fake it, and then you'll make it. It's and you really gotta believe in it. And I think that goes the same for you. And I think it's interesting to hear because I'm seeing so many things of what you're saying that I can relate to from my profession. And you gotta start small, and then if you do really well, they will start to connect you to the other regions and everything. But you also really have to be figure out who you are, find your style. Even in tech
Right.
consulting, you have to find your style and really be true, because everyone can sort of be a specialist today. And it's about, okay, how do you bring that to the world? It's about how you bring your work to the world, which I think is very interesting. And that's like the way that you can. And if you really believe in yourself, which I really, you're good at, but you could be even better at believing, because I really like what you do. And then you
Super.
could, yeah,
Yeah,
but if you find yourself and the way that you want to present yourself to the world, there are
yeah.
no limitations. And I really think, I know it's super tough, but if you really really want to, and if really, there are so many techniques and things that you can do from a business perspective. There are many ways to go about this, where you're not as you, of course, you're dependent on who you work with and the relationship, but there are lots of ways where you could actually go broader without, what I think, from I have no clue, but when I see it from my perspective and
Mm.
from business objective, in a way, then
Yeah,
I think there are so many ways that you could do this.
I
Artist
get it. Yeah,
would
no,
love
I really appreciate it. Yeah, no, I really definitely appreciate it. I'm also constantly busy with doing
I know,
relations.
yeah,
Yeah, that's also something I mentioned like the other day. It's not only about actually creating things. The actual part and the actual work starts when you're trying to connect you and get your shit out there. So
yeah,
at some point you should stop that self-doubt part of is this good enough to be shown, to actually already just go for it, and show it and show it and show it on people. And that's how, yeah, but I'm just I think I was just trying to say that maybe in the creative industry is kind of perceived, sometimes falsely assumed that it's like an overnight success.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know, so someone said really
Okay.
good
Okay.
quote
Yeah.
to me. They said to me like, the overnight success took 8 years.
Mm.
Yes,
Yeah.
because it's so true. It's the people that just see this person. Um, I don't know. Let's take a really famous singer for now, Billie Eilish, right? That chick. Well,
Yeah.
her first of all, her parents are actually famous, so she's actually already in the right circles to show her stuff.
Mm.
But if you're not from those circles, you will have a really hard time to actually get into those circles.
Yeah.
Because for those guys, time is super valid and they don't want to listen to any random things.
Mm.
So they maybe, because her parents were famous, they gave her some advice on how to improve. Usually you don't even get any advice. They just say, nah, sorry, wasn't good enough, but we'll get back to you another time.
Yeah.
I guess it's true. In a lot of industries, it works like that. But I guess just like the creative industry is just so small and super competitive because it's too many people who actually want
Yeah.
to want a
But I think
meaning.
also the point I was trying to make again is that you're also you're given no resources, because
Yeah,
I can really see it like from a business perspective. I can see a lot of different ways in which you could like penetrate the different worlds and where you want to
ah,
go, and
yeah,
there's just not the connection between your industry and mine, setting up a business and all these sort of practical aspects, and then the scalability, being able to scale your business. It's something that I work with on a daily basis, and I
mm,
can I can see that reflect some way in the arts industry, but there's just not the link yet. And maybe is online, and maybe you can Google it, but I think you sometimes probably need to understand some of the words and okay, what does this model mean and
yeah.
whatnot.
I'm not taking it serious. I don't take it personal anymore. It's just something I noticed, and to be honest, in case I will come to that point where I'm well established, I will definitely also look out for the upcoming artists who have this struggle, just
That's
because I
nice.
kind
Yeah.
of understand it.
Yeah. I
But
just
yeah,
think it's
I
the
think
same. Yeah.
it's part of the game after all. That kind of also selects the ones from the ones who are not serious about it.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, you can sit around and be all bitter about it, or you can just quickly address it and then kind of move
Go
on.
out and do. Yeah.
And I feel like I'm just keep saying it because it's just really something I'm not quite happy about. But yeah,
That's
it
okay.
doesn't
Yeah.
matter. I would be maybe also good photography and art criterion.
I think you would. I think you would. Yeah, I think you would.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
but then also let's talk about those lecture reorganized. If you would be up for it, actually,
Mm-hmm.
Maria did something really cool because we had this talks. We actually also at some point thought it would be maybe a nice idea to teach art students some fundamentals of finance. Well, we have a financial section in the academy, but it's not a part of the curriculum, like mandatory curriculum. It's just something that you access as you need it. And then together with Maria, we actually organized a lecture where she came in and she taught us. And maybe you could just share some of your insights, and maybe just preparation. That was a thing I
That was
remember.
the thing. Yeah.
Execution, and then also just a conclusion, a quick conclusion. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, sure. That was really interesting, and I really liked the opportunity. Um. Yeah. So where should I begin? I think first of all, no. Let's begin with that I prepared the slides that we do in consulting and in business, and I had all the tall glass buildings in the background, and I was proud of my slides. They were really good. And what the way I showed these to you, and you were like, what is this? So you're just gonna stand and talk? And I'm like, yeah, it's a lecture, right? I'm gonna stand and talk like we do in lectures. And then you're like, that's not a lecture. And then we had the discussion about how lectures are super different. And you said that sometimes in your lectures in the art school, you don't even have an agenda. There's no curriculum, like specific things, and I've no clue how that works, and also that people would come in late to the classes, and that is too broad and abstract for me. And okay, so I realized, okay, I have to go back and change the slides and make it more interactive and all these sort of things, and that was a challenge for sure. But yeah, I think we found a good way to make it interactive and make it inspiring. I think what was the misconception of it was probably that when people hear finance, they think about, okay, money, financing someone, getting money to the project. And that's also what people had in mind when I came in to the arts. Okay, here's someone who knows how we can be financed, which I have no clue about. But I do know how companies can be financed and how you can do all these strategies in your finance department, like hedging. I remember we touched upon that, and basically talking about the difference between debt and equity, what it means so just in general knowledge about, so what is finance really, and not the financing, but finance. And
I get it.
Difference.
You taught us the basics to actually, in order to just understand it and to be able to communicate. Because sometimes, and I guess that's honestly really, this is just a part of it. Like, I guess lots of creative people, they really love to focus on the actual act of creation, but maybe they don't really like to get their stuff out there. And you really gotta have that mind. You gotta invest in it. You gotta do some ads. You gotta show people, you gotta contact people, you gotta apply at galleries, you really gotta do these things. So if you're just always at home creating things, that's that's pretty cool, but that's how you
sort of, you can easily become isolated, at least. And I remember I started the lecture by asking, so what do you actually want when you leave here today? And one person was like, I just want to know, when I meet someone and he says he works in finance or economics, that I know what he's talking about. And so that was also what I was trying to, okay, so I already had my lecture planned, but I also need to give this person what she's expecting.
And what I really liked about your lecture was also that you based it really on the art scene and finance, and you kind of tried to build a bridge. So that was pretty cool, I think. Yeah. And now let's see what happens from there. I remember some people, when we had a feedback round, they were even like saying something like, "This is the first time I understood it," or something like that.
Oh, that's
which
good.
was also really interesting. I remember that comment. For me personally, it was really cool to do that. Because it's been something I was lacking. And now what I actually did this year was I took a course in the finance department.
Nice.
Of the uni. I did marketing. But I have to say, it's definitely because now I see the difference, right? And I experience it on my own skin. So it was definitely because it felt like this tutor is specifically looking for the right answer, right?
Yeah.
And that's just something that our tutors never really look for. It's about bringing across your point, and bringing across your idea. And that was a super interesting thing just to notice, because then when I actually answered during lectures, we had this like little, we had like the huge lectures in like just the thing that you mentioned, like in a huge auditorium, and then you just slide through and you can maybe ask some questions, but you usually don't ask any questions. And then we had like small coach sessions or something it was called. And then it was more practical. So we had like these examples, and then we would need to use our knowledge gained from the lectures. So in the lectures, I understood the way, and I already kind of took it into my, thinking and my practice. So I already kind of put it really personally onto my own skill set. So that's the way I answered it too. And then I always realized that he had this awkward moment where he was really waiting for keywords. So he was really like, yeah, you're right. And waiting for my keywords, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just something how we never were trained like that. You were actually sure keywords are super important, you know? That's that
Yeah.
elevator kind of pitch. You want to bring the right words in the 30 seconds that you have.
Mm.
But it's more about like bringing across the idea of something. Yeah, that's just something I noticed then. And it's cool because then you learn both things of it, both ends. I mean, there's this cool, like you kind of need to understand both of it. I think it's quite unrealistic to expect, you know, that one is not part of the other. Yeah. Even though the creatives hate that other part. Like feels like a waste of time. We would love to hire someone who figures this shit out for us, you know.
But that's how I think a lot of people are different. They're the opposite, like, oh, it's too abstract, it's too many thoughts at once. Let me just focus on what I'm good at and let me do that,
Yeah.
and you guys take care of the rest.
Yeah, right. You have those clients. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
I have those coworkers, I have those friends, I have,
Okay.
they're different. We're just wired differently. And I think just in general, I think it's nice that we are in a world where we can just decide to be who we are and do what we really love. And that's actually also a point that I wanted to make earlier, but I think I forgot it, where you said that you really have to like it if you want to
Yeah.
be a photographer, if you want to be creative, like, because it's tough business. And that's how I think you're passionate, like an entrepreneur also
Yeah.
really has to love what the person is doing. You really have to love your concept, because there are no other way. You really have to believe in it, because if you don't believe in it, your clients or your customers or whoever you're pitching to are not going to believe in it either. And that's the same with you guys. You really have to love it and be it 100%, 110%
Yeah.
all the time, which is a lot of pressure, but it's very, very inspiring that you then, and very brave that you then decide to go out, okay, I'm doing it. And I'm doing it
Yeah.
110%.
Yeah, I feel like you can't hardly go back anymore. Once you decided I'm doing it, it just kind of becomes an obsession. You're just like, you can't go back anymore, because even if you try to be normal, you will always be too annoying, too stubborn, you know, too dominant or something like that. Because you're so used that maybe the way how you express yourself visually is like the way or something like. It's like you can accept other artists next to you and take them as an inspiration. But I guess like that thing, like you have to do this, you have to do this. This is something that an artist really has to learn.
Yeah, because
Like
I believe I
once it
could.
comes to rules, they are just super
Yeah.
immune and allergic against, I guess.
But that's funny, right? Because when you work in a large corporations, there are a lot of rules, and there is a company that you need to run. There are the daily operations, and then you get so absorbed into the rules that's how you get change is really the enemy sometimes. And that's just where I see the benefit of bridging, art and finance more, or just business in general, bridging those things, because there are these personalities and these passions. They would definitely clash, but for hopefully in a very good way.
Yeah, you know, it's also like I read another good quote. It said, "Hire your enemy." Actually,
Yeah,
hire your enemy,
very good.
because no one else will have such different outlook on the world
Yeah.
and such different ideas. You just really gotta learn from your biggest criterion. Yeah, you really, and you can benefit from that, and you will be sure that those people at least call you out on your shit if you're going the total wrong direction. Your enemy will always make sure that you will realize, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's
yeah, I
actually
think
good.
there's a beauty in that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything really urgent on your mind now, or maybe some final words how we could finish this interview?
I have a lot of things on my mind. But no final things. I think we have a lot to discuss still, so we can have a call
Such an
again.
interesting talk. So thank you a lot for that. It was really interesting. Really summed up a lot of things that we discussed about and actually led further from our previous talks.
Yeah,
It would be
I think
super lovely to have you back on my show anytime soon. If you want to make some
yeah,
time.
I'm happy to join again. We can also do it offline.
That for sure as well.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
no,
we're
it was
still
really
friends,
nice.
right? But yeah, I'm just really happy that that you took the time and that I had the chance to have you on my show today.
No, of course. I think what I really liked is that we sort of summarized all the time that we lived, because it's 1 year ago now, right?
Yeah,
That we were living together and in Rotterdam, and now we're in different parts of the world. It's really
yeah,
nice to look back on and have a discussion 1 year later
yeah.
about what
Just
still happened.
continue. Yeah, true.
Yeah,
And actually, new. I feel like both of us had like new insights in the meanwhile too. Yeah, so it was really nice us to reflect back on that lecture again. I guess.
yeah, yeah,
Because would you do it again now?
yeah.
You would.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah, I would do it more. I think the next time one lecture wouldn't be enough. I would love to do more, maybe a workshop even, or bring in the
Okay.
help, because there is so much that I think they you would need help with, or have questions about, and I would like to set the right environment for those questions to be answered.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, did that to be continued. And then, yeah, thanks again for having you on the show. And
Yeah.
I will just finish this live stream, I guess, by
Took a
getting
long
you
time.
backstage again.
Next
What?
time we need to have or maybe we don't, but an agenda. I'm so wired in a special way, but so we stick to the point. But this was a
Oh,
lot
we
of
did.
fun.
We did. I made sure of that. We actually went through all the points that,
Okay, that's good.
yeah, that I thought of. Yeah.
You're structured.
All right. So I'm gonna get you backstage, and then I'm
Thank
just
you.
gonna stop the live stream by saying my final words and goodbye.
That's
Okay.
cool. Thank you for having
Okay.
me.
Say bye to Maria. Okay. Thank you very much for being part of this live stream. If you wanna be part of any interesting interviews yourself, I put a link on this video, contact, which leads you to a contact form where you can reach me. And then also, if everything goes well for tomorrow, there is a talk scheduled with an artist from Shanghai. His name is Jeff Young, and I hope everything will work out with him because today was good, but it was rearranged. Let's be honest about that. So have a really good day and hope to see you guys soon again. Bye.